Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with If I Could Choose Only One Work by composer X, it would have to be work P. Well, composer X in this particular case is Ernest Block. Now, Ernest Block is one of those composers who flies under the radar. He was a 20th century master, really one of the great orchestral composers of the first half of the 20th century. He wrote a huge pile of music, although not a lot in traditional forms. That's one of the things that counts against him. He was really very original that way. He's best known for his Rhapsody for Cello and Orchestra, Shlomo, based on the idea of King Solomon. It's a beautiful piece and part of a whole series of pieces he did inspired by his Jewish heritage. Those are the things that have kept his reputation alive, mostly because the music has a sort of it's part of that school of Eastern exoticism that we like, for example, at Rimsky-Korsakov's Scheherazade, or stuff like that. All of that faux Eastern stuff. And, with Block, he had more reason than most to do it, and he did it extremely well. But that is not one of the works that I am choosing to present to the god Cankrazans, who wants to destroy all of classical music, but for one work per composer, unless we can convince him otherwise. The work I've chosen is a real special case as far as this series go, because it doesn't have a single great recording. In fact, it's only been recorded, I think, four times, in its entire existence. And none of those recordings is completely satisfactory, and most of them aren't even available. Maybe you can find it on YouTube and listen to it. It's really a problem. The work in question is his Concerto symphonique for piano and orchestra. Now, this is one of the great cyclical symphonies of the early 20th century. It's one of the great concerto/symphony combinations in the history of all of music. It's a brilliantly and thrillingly exciting piece all by itself in three splendid movements that share themes. It's virtuosic, it's exciting, it's just wonderful. It's full of good tunes, and it never gets played. And it's almost never been recorded. There were only 4 recordings. The first was on Laurel Records with the pianist Micah Huey. And she's valiant, let's put it that way, but she's technically not really up to the job of doing the piece. And then there was an old Vanguard recording, even before that, with Marjorie Mitchell and Vladimir Golshman, which wasn't terrible, but it was, the Vienna Symphony was nothing special. And, there's a lot more glitz and glamour in the orchestration than you hear on this particular recording, although it's not bad. It's okay. And then we have, I actually also think it has a cut in it somewhere in the finale, if I recall correctly. I don't know. I haven't listened to them in a long time because none of them are satisfactory entirely. Then there was a recording on Chandos. I forget even who the artists are. It was with the St. Petersburg State Capella under Chernushenko was the conductor, and the pianist was somebody called like Dina Halav, or I don't even know. I got to tell you, it was just weak beer all the way through. Second rate in every respect. And finally, on Hensler, there was a recording with Jenny Lin, featured Jenny Lin as the pianist. Now, Jenny Lin can play anything. She's a tremendous pianist. The conductor, however, it was with the SWR Symphony Orchestra of Kaiserslautern, and that thing. They just take the finale too slow. It would have been the one to get had that finale been up to tempo. And that's just the way it goes. So we're stuck. We're really stuck. All of those performances will give you a sense of what the work can be. But the reason I'm presenting this to the evil god Cankrazans is because he can't destroy all of classical music but for one work. He's got to let us wait until we have great recordings of all of Bloch's work so we can hear everything. There's just such great stuff. There's the evocations. The Concerti Grossi are fairly popular. Shlomo's been done well, but there's a sequel, Voice in the Wilderness, that's only had a couple of recordings. There's his gorgeous early symphony in C-sharp minor. There's the rest of the Jewish cycle of pieces. There are his nationality works. There's America and Helvetica, because he's Swiss. There's like Switzerland or whatever it's called. Helvetia, Helvetica, I forget what it's called. It doesn't matter. They're just amazing pieces. There's the Israel Symphony. I mean, he deserves to have his oeuvre captured and explored as a whole. Now, one label has been exploring him over the decades, and that's BIS. BIS has a terrific series of Block recordings. You get all the major works, except for this one. You get the violin concerto, which is gorgeous. You get the symphony in C sharp. You get Shlomo. You get there's a whole bunch of other orchestral pieces. I mean, they have done him some justice, but the problem is there's no concerto symphonique. So Cancrezans can't do anything until we get a really, really good recording of the Concerto Symphonique that does it full justice. And believe me, folks, when you hear this work, you will know, even in a sub-fusc recording or performance, you will know immediately just how powerful and impressive and extraordinary it is, and what its potential is for like greatness. But it hasn't happened yet. So there we go. I mean, that's where we are with Ernest Block, a composer who still deserves recognition and whose work has to survive until it gets the recognition it deserves. It's that simple, Cancrezans, and that's what I'm going to tell the evil god as I think a very powerful justification for leaving classical music alone. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me, and take care.